When you sit at the evening dining table, a familiar and irresistible sequence of events unfolds. A soft chin rests gently upon your knee, and a pair of soulful, unwavering eyes fixes upon the meal resting on your plate. To the modern human observer, this intense, silent scrutiny is almost always interpreted as simple hunger, or perhaps a bit of opportunistic greed. But science has finally revealed why they look at you this way, and the truth will make you rethink everything you know about your best friend. This specific behavior is actually a profoundly complex, deeply ingrained affiliative ritual that bridges the vast biological chasm between two entirely different species. When your canine companion begs for a morsel of your food, it is not merely a request for daily caloric sustenance. It is an ancient, evolutionary dialogue rooted in the very origins of their domestication. And understanding this history is the first step toward realizing how our greatest acts of love can sometimes become invisible agents of harm. To understand this deeply emotional connection, we have to look back long before the dawn of human agriculture. The domestic dog did not emerge through sudden, intentional human engineering, but rather through a prolonged, mutually beneficial relationship that began thousands of years ago. A specific lineage of wolves, with a higher tolerance for human proximity, began to linger at the edges of nomadic hunter-gatherer encampments, feeding on discarded scraps. Over countless generations, this passive scavenging evolved into an active, cooperative partnership. The wolves that were most successful at reading human social cues and integrating into the human sphere were the ones that survived to pass on their genetics. This profound evolutionary journey fundamentally altered the canine mind, embedding a deep psychological drive to seek resources directly from human hands. In the wild ecology of their ancestors, the sharing of a successful kill is a fundamental pillar of pack cohesion and social structure. So when your dog places that gentle chin upon your leg and stares longingly at your dinner, they are actively participating in this ancestral pack ritual. They are asking to be recognized as a valued, permanent member of your familial unit, seeking the ultimate validation of belonging through the shared feast. The next time your dog looks up at you with those pleading eyes, recognize it for the profound compliment it is. Instead of feeling guilty for not sharing your food, gently stroke their ears, look them in the eyes, and speak softly to them, letting them know their place in your heart is completely secure, even if your plate is off limits. They trust you implicitly, assuming with every fiber of their being that whatever you hand down from your table is safe, nourishing, and beneficial. Unfortunately, this beautiful evolutionary trust places an immense and often fatal burden upon the human caretaker. The dog possesses no biological instinct or sophisticated palate to refuse a toxic human delicacy, relying entirely on your judgment to act as their surrogate survival mechanism. As a caretaker, operating out of a profound and genuine affection, you often capitulate to this silent, ancient request. The desire to nurture, to reward, and to include your dog in the emotional warmth of a shared meal is a deeply powerful human driver. However, this cross-species translation of love frequently ignores a critical, uncompromising biological reality. Despite thousands of years of coevolution and a shared domestic environment, the internal metabolic pathways and digestive capabilities of the canine body remain vastly, dangerously different from those of the human body. The greatest tragedies in the human-canine bond rarely stem from acts of malice or intentional cruelty. Instead, they arise from a misguided, blinding desire to demonstrate our love through the medium of human food. When we share a piece of rich chocolate, a spoonful of sugar-free peanut butter, the fatty edge of a holiday roast, a leftover cooked bone, or a handful of sweet grapes, we believe we are offering a primal gift of affection. In reality, we are unwittingly triggering catastrophic biochemical chain reactions. The canine body, fundamentally unequipped by nature to process these modern human indulgences, turns these gestures of love into silent, agonizing biological nightmares. Our human kindness accidentally becomes toxic, weaponizing the dog's absolute trust against its own physiological survival. Think about the quietest moments in your home. You unwrap a piece of chocolate after a long, exhausting day, and before the wrapper even hits the table, your dog is suddenly right there by your side. Why does this specific sweet aroma draw them in so fast? And why is this exact moment of shared comfort actually the most dangerous trap in your entire house? In our human world, chocolate stands as the ultimate symbol of indulgence, comfort, and affection. When you look down at those earnest, pleading eyes and break off a tiny square, you are simply yielding to love. You believe you are sharing a moment of pure, innocent joy. But the very second that chocolate crosses the canine palate, an invisible and devastating crisis is set into motion, and the sheer heartbreak of it lies in the stark contrast between your loving intention and their biological reality. To understand this, we have to look at what is actually hiding inside that sweet treat. Chocolate contains powerful, invisible compounds that our human bodies are perfectly designed to handle. When we eat it, our liver acts like a highly efficient cleaning crew, sweeping the compounds away in just a couple of hours. We feel a tiny boost of energy, and then it is gone safely. But a dog's beautiful, loyal body is completely missing the specific biological tools needed for this cleanup. When a dog eats chocolate, the process is agonizingly slow. Instead of leaving their system, the chemical gets trapped in a cruel, endless loop. As their body desperately struggles to process it, the toxin gets reabsorbed, sending it continually looping back into their circulating bloodstream for days on end. This prolonged exposure turns your momentary, loving indulgence into a sustained, systemic overload. Inside their body, their natural calming signals get completely blocked. Imagine feeling a massive, uncontrollable surge of adrenaline, where your heart races wildly, your muscles lock up into terrifying tremors, and you have absolutely no idea why. That is exactly what your dog feels. It is a terrifying storm of hyperstimulation that they cannot escape, and there is no magical antidote to stop it once it begins. It is devastating because you offered the sweet treat as a profound gesture of familial inclusion, entirely unaware that your dog's uniquely beautiful biology lacks the microscopic machinery required to survive it. But recognizing this harsh reality is how we truly protect the ones we love. The next time you open a chocolate bar and hear the familiar click of their paws rushing across the floor, do not let human guilt take over. Instead, keep a small jar of a safe, high-value dog treat right next to your own candy stash. When you take a bite of your chocolate, give them a piece of their special treat. Speak to them warmly and let them sit close to you. By doing this, you are still actively sharing the ritual. You are still honoring their ancient desire to be part of the family feast, but you are doing it in a way that fiercely protects their fragile, precious life. Think about that classic, everyday moment before you leave the house for work. You grab their favorite rubber toy and fill it with a thick spoonful of peanut butter, hoping to give them hours of comfort and distraction while you are away. When you choose a sugar-free or natural brand, you genuinely believe you are making a healthier, more responsible choice for your best friend. But what if I told you that this seemingly innocent spoonful of comfort could be hiding one of the most violent and rapidly acting hidden dangers in your modern pantry? In recent years, our human desire to eat less sugar has brought ingredients like xylitol, a natural sweetener made from plants, into things like chewing gum, baked goods, and an increasing number of peanut butters. For humans, it is perfectly safe and causes almost no reaction inside our bodies. But beneath this veneer of health-conscious affection lies a devastating biological misunderstanding between this sweet ingredient and your dog's delicate internal systems. When a dog eats even a tiny, seemingly trivial drop of something sweetened with xylitol, it rushes into their bloodstream with terrifying speed, often peaking in less than 30 minutes. As it floods their system, their body makes a lethal error of recognition. Their pancreas mistakes this harmless human sweetener for a massive, overwhelming surge of actual sugar. In a panicked attempt to fix this, their body releases an explosive wave of insulin, sending out up to 7 times more than it actually needs. But because there is absolutely no real sugar there to absorb it, this massive tidal wave of insulin starts aggressively scrubbing their blood of the essential, life-sustaining energy they already have. The immediate result is a catastrophic crash. Within an hour of happily licking that spoon, their brain, which depends entirely on a steady supply of energy to function, begins to rapidly starve. You would watch in pure horror as your previously vibrant companion suddenly stumbles with drunken, uncoordinated movements, their muscular control evaporating into thin air. As the starvation worsens, their body goes into deep shock, leading to violent tremors and eventually a silent, dark sleep. If they somehow survive that initial crash, a secondary and even more insidious tragedy often follows quietly in its wake. As their liver desperately tries to break down this foreign ingredient, it rapidly exhausts every single ounce of its stored cellular energy. Without enough energy to keep its basic functions running, the liver tissue literally begins to die and disintegrate from the inside out. You only offered a modern, sweet treat as a reward for their endless loyalty, completely unaware that this hidden ingredient turns their own delicate system into a weapon of self-destruction. But this is a tragedy we have absolute control over. The next time you reach for the pantry to fill their toy, take 5 extra seconds to flip the jar around and read the ingredients. Look closely for xylitol, and if you see it, throw it away. Instead, use a simple one-ingredient peanut butter or soft mashed sweet potatoes. As you hand them their freshly filled toy, let them lick a tiny bit right off your finger first, speaking softly to validate their patience. You are still giving them the ultimate sweet reward, but you are wrapping it tightly in the protective armor of your newfound knowledge. Picture the perfect summer barbecue or a cozy holiday dinner. You just finished a beautifully roasted chicken or a smoked rack of ribs, and you look down at your dog waiting patiently at your feet. Handing them a leftover bone feels like the ultimate, ancient reward, right? It feels like you are honoring the deepest roots of your friendship, repeating a silent pact made between our ancestors thousands of years ago. But what if I told you that the very oven you used to cook that meal just turned a natural, primal gift into a hidden, incredibly sharp weapon that could silently tear your loyal companion apart from the inside? To understand why this is so dangerous, we have to look at the invisible architecture of a bone. For thousands of years, dogs and their wild ancestors safely chewed on raw bones. In nature, a raw bone is a beautiful, flexible creation. It is made of strong minerals wrapped tightly in soft, elastic fibers. When a dog bites down on a raw bone, those fibers allow the bone to yield, compress, and crush safely into soft pieces that their stomach easily breaks down. But the moment we apply the intense heat of a modern oven, a backyard grill, or a boiling pot, we permanently destroy that natural safety net. The heat literally melts away the flexible, protective fibers and evaporates all the vital moisture inside. What is left behind is no longer a natural food source. it becomes a completely dry, brittle shell that has the exact physical properties of glass or porcelain. When the powerful crushing force of your dog's jaw meets that compromised bone, it does not yield. It violently splinters. These resulting splinters are razor-sharp, jagged, and entirely indigestible. As your dog eagerly swallows these glass-like shards, they begin a highly perilous journey through their incredibly sensitive insides. They can fracture teeth, wedge painfully in the roof of the mouth, or scrape and slice the delicate lining of their stomach and intestines as they are pushed through the body. In the most devastating scenarios, a sharp fragment will push completely through the wall of the stomach, allowing dangerous bacteria to spill into the body and causing a massive, agonizing infection that can be fatal even with immediate emergency surgery. You only tossed that bone across the kitchen floor out of deep love and generosity, completely blind to the terrifying fact that your modern oven stripped the bone of its evolutionary safety. We all want to give our dogs that deep ancestral joy of chewing, but we must do it safely. The next time you finish a delicious roast, gather up those cooked bones and put them straight into a secure trash can where your dog cannot reach them. Instead, keep a safe, heavy-duty rubber chew toy or a specially prepared, thick, raw bone recommended by your vet nearby. When you hand them this safe alternative, crouch down to their eye level, offer it from your open hand, and watch how happily their tail wags as they take it. You are still fulfilling their deepest primal instincts and honoring that ancient bond, but you are wrapping their joy in the absolute, uncompromising safety they deserve. Think about the warmest moments in your home, especially during the holidays or special family gatherings. You are sitting at the table, perhaps carving a beautiful roasted turkey or slicing into a rich, heavily seasoned steak. Your dog is right there, resting their chin on your knee, eyes wide with trembling anticipation. It is the most natural, loving instinct in the world to want to include them in this familial celebration. So, you discreetly slip them a piece of bacon under the tablecloth, or peel off that glistening, fatty edge of the meat, hoping to give them a fleeting moment of pure luxury. But what if this beautiful gesture of inclusion is actually the trigger for one of the most unpredictable and agonizing medical emergencies your dog could ever face? We give them this rich comfort food to elevate their day, entirely unaware that we are throwing their incredibly delicate digestive system into a state of chaotic, uncontrolled overdrive. To understand the silent agony this causes, we have to look at a brilliant, invisible organ tucked quietly inside their belly, the pancreas. Think of it as a highly specialized factory that makes powerful digestive juices designed to break down heavy meals. Because these juices are strong enough to literally dissolve biological tissue, your dog's body brilliantly packages them into tiny, safe, inactive capsules. Normally, these capsules travel safely down to the intestines before they open up and do their job. But when your dog eats a sudden, heavily concentrated piece of fat from your plate, those microscopic safety mechanisms completely fail. The massive rush of rich human food causes those protective capsules to burst open prematurely, right inside the delicate, living tissue of the pancreas itself. Like a biological time bomb detonating before it ever reaches its target, the organ essentially begins to relentlessly digest its own flesh. It is a terrifying biological fire that starts from the inside out, causing massive swelling and internal bleeding. The sheer heartbreak of this condition is watching your vibrant dog suddenly fold under the weight of unrelenting nausea and legendary, searing abdominal pain. You might notice them doing something strange, lowering their head and front legs flat against the floor while keeping their hips high in the air. To a human, it looks like a happy play bow, but it is actually a desperate, mechanical attempt to stretch out their aching belly and relieve the burning pressure of a dissolving organ. If that internal fire is not stopped by intensive veterinary care, the toxic damage can quickly spill into their bloodstream, threatening their very life. You only wanted to share the deep comfort of a family feast, never realizing that their ancient, beautiful biology just cannot handle our modern human luxuries. The next time you sit down to a rich, celebratory meal and feel that gentle chin on your knee, do not give in to the fatty trimmings. Instead, keep a small bowl of plain, unseasoned green beans or a few baby carrots right there on the table just for them. When you slip them a crunchy vegetable, softly praise them for being such a good, calm companion. You are still completely honoring their need to be part of the family pack, but you are feeding their soul without risking their fragile, precious life. Picture a warm, sunny afternoon. You are relaxing outside, enjoying a crisp cluster of grapes or a handful of sweet raisins, and you easily toss one to your patiently waiting dog. Unlike the heavy richness of bacon fat or the obvious danger of dark chocolate, grapes seem like the absolute epitome of a natural, innocent snack. They are just simple, wholesome fruit. Yet, for over 2 decades, this seemingly beautiful moment of sharing has been one of the most terrifying, frustrating mysteries in all of veterinary science. Dogs eating tiny amounts of this fruit would suddenly suffer irreversible kidney failure, while others might eat a whole handful and seem completely fine. The dark veil over this deadly mystery was finally lifted recently, and the hidden truth comes down to a single, invisible compound called tartaric acid. Humans easily process and flush this acid away without a second thought, but your dog's beautiful body was simply not built with the biological tools needed to safely remove it. When your dog eats a grape or a raisin, that acid travels directly to their kidneys, where it quietly and lethally builds up, destroying the vital microscopic filters that keep their blood clean and their body alive. The sheer terror of this hidden danger lies in its extreme, natural unpredictability. The amount of acid inside any given grape fluctuates massively, depending on the soil, the weather, and the exact moment it was picked from the vine. Because raisins are dried, that invisible poison is heavily concentrated, making them even more deadly. It is entirely impossible for you to know if that single innocent grape you are tossing across the lawn is completely harmless or a highly concentrated, lethal dose. The profound tragedy is that the simple act of sharing a piece of fresh fruit can transform into a silent shutdown of your dog's most vital organs. But armed with this new knowledge, you can change the story. The next time you are enjoying grapes or raisins, keep them securely out of reach. If you want to share a healthy, juicy snack, toss them a few fresh blueberries or a crisp slice of apple with the seeds removed. When they catch it, praise them warmly. You are still giving them the fresh, sweet reward they crave, but you are guaranteeing their safety in a world they simply cannot navigate alone. When you step back and look at the whole picture, the domestic dog is a living, breathing masterpiece of absolute devotion. Through thousands of years, they have reshaped their entire existence just to walk safely by our side. We have such vast, complicated lives. We have our careers, our human friends, our distant travels, and a lifespan that stretches for decades. But to your dog, you are the entire universe. You are their sun, their moon, and their only source of safety. Their life is heartbreakingly short, and they choose to spend every single one of those precious days studying your face, learning your emotions, and wanting nothing more than to be as close to you as biologically possible. When they rest their chin on your knee at the dinner table, it is not just about food. It is a profound, silent request to belong to you. They consume whatever you offer from your hand with the beautiful, unwavering belief that you are their ultimate protector. Understanding their delicate biology does not mean we have to stop showing them love. It simply means we must elevate our love to match the absolute trust they place in us. If your dog is in the room with you right now, I want you to walk over to them. Look deep into those soulful eyes, gently stroke their head, and forgive them for the chewed shoes, the muddy paw prints, or the sudden barking at the window. Realize that every quirky, messy thing they do is just a byproduct of a creature trying to navigate a human world they do not fully understand, driven entirely by their love for you. What is the one strange thing your dog does that you now realize is just a beautiful display of pure love? Let us know down in the comments below, because sharing those stories helps all of us understand them better. If this journey into the hidden science of our daily habits opened your eyes and touched your heart, please subscribe to join our compassionate community of true dog lovers here at the Soulful Dog. We have so many more beautiful secrets to uncover together.